Welcome to r/EntitledParents. In today's stories, an EP wants someone else to care for their daughter's medical condition, another EP wants their underage teenager into an adult's party, and another EM tells little girls that she will chain them up in the basement. Oh dear. Hey guys, and I hope you're well. If you enjoy Reddit stories, don't forget to click that subscribe as you will love the rest of our content. And with that being said, let's get started. So our first story is from Sugarpuff Foggy Bottom. Great name. Entitled Mum wants me to give her short daughter refrigerated growth hormone shots at Disney World. I was a volunteer youth group leader and we were driving from New England to Florida. One of my campers was a small girl. She was a 10-year-old and about to start HGH hormone treatment before the trip. Her mum was an attorney and she was very rough to deal with regarding anything. The entitled parent said, "Megan is starting her hormone treatment while you're en route tomorrow. You need to bring a cooler with HGH shots in them and administer them to her 3 times a day. So yes, you will need a cooler with you for Disney World. She will be tired and have joint pain, so she might need a wheelchair." I said, "I'm sorry, this sounds way above my expertise to handle. I have no medical training and if anything goes wrong in the administration of the shots, I don't feel comfortable being liable. Also, Disney in summer is brutal. I can't imagine carrying a cooler all day and having it stay cool, not to mention where I will store it for the rides and such." The EP then responded, "So you're not willing to accommodate my child's special needs?" I said, "Yeah, she can begin the treatment in 10 days when we return. I mean, she's only going to be away for a week and some." "So what you're telling me is that you don't care that Megan has an inactive pituitary gland." I hope I said that right. "And you won't help her to be taller. You don't care about my child, even if she turns out to look like a dwarf. It's your fault!" I said, "I do care that I not accidentally give Megan a disease from a shot by a volunteer who knows nothing about health practices, and that I ruin a very expensive batch of HGH that I'm sure you'll make me reimburse you if they go bad, because I can't keep them cold. You can talk to the head of the regional youth group now, and here's her number. You can tell her that I need to be fired from my volunteer position if you like, but there's no one to take over at this late hour. Not having to drive to Florida tomorrow will be a blessing. I hope your daughter will understand why the trip was cancelled." And that is how she waited another 10 days to start a shot protocol. She never did get taller, maybe by an inch, but she's okay. Turns out she was genetically a little person the whole time, but her mother was in denial. Imagine expecting someone else to deal with your daughter's or son's medical treatment. I mean, especially something like that, giving them shots. I mean, I'd be petrified to give another child shots or something like that. Oh my word. What do you guys think of that story? Our next story is from Janician, 1983. "You absolutely have to let my underage teenager into your room party full of grown gay men. This didn't happen to me, but to a friend of mine, and the details will be written down as he told me the story. So long story short, my friend is a furry, and at the time was attending Midwest Fur Fest. Now, there are a ton of fun activities that attendees can partake in, and most of the panels and activities listed on the official program are totally appropriate for families and kids. That being said, like any other type of geeky conventions, people will hold room parties in their hotel rooms or suites that are not a part of the official program and are not the responsibility of the convention itself. Very often room parties will either be gatherings of friends or sometimes they will just be centered around certain social groups. For example, there are furries of colour parties now, and trans room parties, and sometimes, well, there will be parties of the more sexy kind. You know what I mean. Sometimes, to attract a certain crowd, especially at social group parties, they will advertise a room party on a board nearby the hotel lobby to advertise the party's room number for those who might be interested to attend. Anyway, those parties are obviously private functions, and obviously the person who is paying for the suite/room has a complete liberty of choosing who is allowed inside and who is not, especially if they're just gatherings between friends. Flash forward to Saturday evening, this is generally the biggest evening of the convention in terms of official events and room parties. My friend is hosting a room party for gay men in his suite. The attendees are all legal adults, the majority of them are in their late 20s, early 30s. Nothing too risque going on, but it's a bunch of gay men together in a room, so colourful discussions and a bit of flirting and groping is happening from time to time. I mean, duh. At some point in the early evening, they hear a knock on the door. Friend goes to the door and slightly opens it to see a kid, no older than 15 or 16, standing outside the door. My friend said, Hi, can I help you?" The kid said, "Can I come in?" My friend with a slight giggle. No, this is a private party, it's not part of the convention. Sorry. My friend then closes the door and returns to entertaining his guests. About 15 minutes later, another knock at the door. This time, my friend's roommate goes to answer the door and finds the same kid standing there, and this time he has a father with him. Friend's roomie? Yes? The entitled dad says, yes, my son came here earlier and was refused to be let in. Well, yes, but... and gets cut off. Is there a specific reason why my son can't attend this event? At this point, my friend intervenes. Sir, this is a room party, it's not part of the official program, plus your son is a minor and everybody here is a grown man in their 30s. This would be extremely inappropriate. The dad said, don't give me that, we paid full price for attendance pass, I expect my son to be let in to enjoy this convention to its fullest. The friend says, but that's what I'm telling you, this isn't covered by the convention ticket, this has nothing to do with... and was cut off again. The entitled dad said, but this party was advertised downstairs in the lobby. The board downstairs will advertise a lot of private room parties. It's a convention thing. People organise gatherings amongst friends and social groups because they're gathered in the same spot for the weekend. That doesn't mean it has anything to do with the convention proper. Now please, can you leave? We've told you more than once that your son is not welcome here. My friend at this point hushes the ED and his kid out and closes the door. At this point, everybody thinks the story is over, but entitled parents being petty, it isn't. Around 11:30 PM, a much stronger knock on the door is heard. My friend goes and opens the door and is met with a hotel security and a Rosemont PD officer. The friend says, what's going on? The hotel security says, sir, we got a report of illegal activity taking place in this room. We'd just like to do a quick checkup. My friend is flabbergasted, but lets the cops and security personnel in. Of course, they find absolutely nothing weird going on. Friend said, can I at least know what this was about? This is very distressing. The hotel security said, a man came up to us earlier and said your party guests were doing drugs and committing acts of gross indecency by being sexually inappropriate where others could see them. My friend then realised that it's more likely the ED and tells hotel security about how the ED tried to force the party attendees to let his minor son attend a room party full of grown adult males and how they told him to leave repeatedly. Hotel security apologises and my friend got a partial refund on his room to make up for the intrusion and no more problems happened from then on. He doesn't know if anything happened to the man and his kid. Again, I don't understand, like, as a parent you got responsibility for a child and trying to shove them into a room full of grown adults. I mean, come on, bells must be ringing. I mean, I know these guys are probably all sound as a pound, but come on now, you don't do that to your own kid. What do you think of this story, guys? I'd love to hear your comments below. Our next story is from Ariel Willows. EM tells little girl that I will chain them up and leave them to die in my basement. I don't have a basement. Long time lurker, first time poster BS. I never really encountered an EM, but after this encounter, I hope I never do again. I felt like this could also fit under r/insane parent, but I thought I'd post here first. Cast, me, EM entitled Mum, PK1 and 2, Poor Sweet Kids. So for a little background, I was at my town's fireworks ceremony with my mum and sister a few weeks ago. It's as crowded as always, and we set up our chairs next to this family that has 4 or 5 young kids with them. I walked around with my younger sister for a bit before leaving her with her own friends and head back to my seat to wait for the fireworks to start. There were a couple of carnival games set up to entertain people and raise money for the town, so I came back with a couple of cheap little toys that my sister and I had won. Once back at my seat, I started fiddling with the yo-yo that I had gotten. The kids that were next to us started running rampant, and I mean rampant. They were chasing each other, jumping onto other people's chairs, picking up things that didn't belong to them, and so forth. However, they were young, and there were lots of young children there, so I chalked it up to kids being kids. These 2 little girls in particular walked up to me playing with my yo-yo, and asked if they could have a turn with it. I said of course, and showed them how to wrap the rope around their finger and the right motion to get it to come back up. The first girl tried it once and then handed it back, but asked if her sister could try too. I did the same thing to this girl, and by then, a group of kids huddled around my chair watching, and some were playing with other toys that I had won at the game. After I had a turn with a yo-yo, one girl started commenting on how pretty my hair was. I'm 19 female with brightly coloured hair, so I get this a lot. She was inquiring about how I'd gotten the colours in there, and then asked if I wanted to play tag with them. I politely declined, and that's when EM got involved. Now she didn't speak to me directly, but keep in mind that she's about 10 feet away from me, so I heard every word she said. At first she had a quick stranger danger talk with them, and that they had to be careful who they talked to, and not to go with anyone who wasn't mummy. Pretty basic and good stuff to teach your kid at a public place, But then she got angry and started laying into these poor kids. The EM said, "Who was she? Do you know her?" Poor kid 1 said, "No, mummy." She then said, "What if she picked you up and taken you from me? What would you have done then?" Poor kid 2 said, "We just asked to use a yo-yo." That is how you get in people's trunks. Look at her. She could have picked you up and thrown you into her trunk, and mummy would have never seen you again. Do you want that? She would have thrown you into her basement and locked you up for days without food and water, and then you'd die. How could you do that to mummy? At this point the younger girl is crying, and I really wanted to say something, but I wasn't sure what. Unfortunately, I don't have a good ending to this, but after mummy chewed out her kids, she sent them off again to play, wherever the hell they wanted, and went back to playing on her phone. I think it's important to teach your kids about stranger danger, but she was right there and only got involved when I started talking to them. Not when they were jumping into other people's chairs or running out far into the field she couldn't see them, and even then, telling the 5-year-old that someone's going to lock her in their basement and kill her seems a little harsh to me. Damn, them kids going to end up warped. Just think, she said that out in public. What does she say behind closed doors? Oh my word. What do you guys make of that story? I would love to hear your comments on that. Also, assuming your parents taught you stranger danger, how did your parents go about it? Were they that harsh, or was they a little more lenient? Anyway guys, thank you so much for being here today. It really means the world to me when you comment, when you like and all that stuff. It keeps me so inspired. So yes, thank you very much. And if you'd like to watch another video, it's on your screen right now. Much love guys.